Gene Hackman passed away at the age of 95. He was living in New Mexico, I believe Santa Fe. And when you think of Gene Hackman, at least when I think of Gene Hackman, I think of Norman Dale in the great sports movie Hoosiers. Actually, it's a great movie. It's not just limited to a great sports movie. And a lot of times when we think of a sports movie, like Rudy is not a sports movie. Rudy is about the underdog who gets a chance. Hoosiers isn't a basketball movie, but it has basketball in it. It's about life in a small town. And I think sometimes we make the mistake of saying, oh, what a great sports movie. Bull Durham is not a baseball movie. It's really about a guy who's been sent to the minors. He's going to help. It's about relationships. And, but we use, the focal point, the centerpiece is sports, I think, a lot of times with these movies, or we think of that, but it's really more than that. And Hoosiers was that. It was about relationships, and Gene Hackman was wonderful. And I spoke with, the actor who played Jimmy Chitwood, Maris Valanis, and he had no acting experience. He wasn't even really a basketball player, but he played that role so well. And we'll bring back a portion of the interview I did with him a few years ago, where he talked about all these actors, wannabe actors, people who weren't even actors who just went and auditioned. And they got a chance to meet Gene Hackman and the role that Hackman played for them getting ready to be actors in the movie Hoosiers. But he passes away at the age of 95. Now, there's other movies. I go back when he was Popeye Doyle, The French Connection, and he had his little hat that he wore, and he was going to catch that drug dealer from France, and never did. Yes, Seton.
A little more recent, but one that I always forget about. But man, was he great in the Royal Tenenbaums?
Yes,
That was a phenomenal role. That's a great movie. But man, was he was so good in that.
Yeah, there were so many of those movies that that's quite a. We talked to Kevin Costner years ago in New York, and he talked about working with him on No Way Out, a movie, and just talked about Costner saying, I knew I had to up my game because I was going to be acting alongside Gene Hackman. But I still go back to The Replacements with Keanu Reeves, the quarterback. And I don't know, look, Paul Newman was in Slapshot. And that's what made Slapshot even more brilliant, because Paul Newman, legendary actor, was willing to play this down-and-out minor league hockey coach. And Gene Hackman in The Replacements, whenever I would see the movie, I'd go, how did they get Gene Hackman to me in The Replacements? I mean, it's not a legendary, unbelievable, oh my gosh, have you seen The Replacements? Great sports movies of all time, that's not going to be in the category, Alex, on Jeopardy. And Keanu Reeves, I think, had done Speed. He had done the movie Speed and Matrix. So he had a little bit, of a resume. But Gene Hackman, and all of a sudden he's the coach in Replacements, and I go, okay, all right. Although Gene Hackman did think that his career could be over in Hoosiers. He acted alongside Dennis Hopper, and they did talk about it, off screen, like this could be the end of our careers because of that. But Dennis Hopper, legendary actor as well, plays the alcoholic father of one of the players in Hoosiers. But Gene Hackman, age 95, and feels like everybody has their favorite. He was, Lex Luthor in Superman?
Yeah.
I never saw it. Never saw the movie. Didn't see the first one. I still haven't seen the first Star Wars, so I'll get around to it one of these days. Yeah, Paulie.
There's a story, I looked it up after you brought it up, that Keanu Reeves was in The Replacements. He was set to be in The Replacements. And they got interest from Gene Hackman, and they were shocked, but he was pricey. So Keanu Reeves said, you can cut my salary if it gets Gene Hackman in the movie. I don't know if that's a true one. That's a legendary Hollywood story.
Todd, reach out to Keanu Reeves.
We're on it.
All right.
Did you see any of the Superman movies, by the way, with General Zod? And there was one with Richard Pryor in that. And there was a bunch of them.
No.
None of the Superman movies.
No. That was the no that I said earlier that I hadn't seen.
Oh, I thought you said I didn't see the first one. I thought maybe you checked out one of the sequels or something.
It would be odd to see 2 and 3 without seeing the first one, I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
they're kind of standalone.
Like, I'm not going to watch the original Rocky, but I'm going to watch 3 and 4. Are you kidding me? Yes, Eaton.
Isn't it crazy, speaking of the Superman movies, that the first Superman was George Reeve, and then the next one was Christopher Reeves?
Was that, well, he was that was the TV series, George Reeves.
George Reeve, I think. I
George
don't think there's
Reeve.
an S.
Christopher Reeves.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I
So
think.
George Reeve was in the TV show.
George Reeves has an S, and then Christopher Reeve?
Yes.
Oh, that's what it is. I have it backwards.
Okay. But yeah, he was in the TV show.
And we also just referenced Keanu Reeves
Oh,
in the same segment.
dang.
And Dan
And
Reeves was a
Keanu.
consultant.
What?
Dan Reeves was a consultant on the Superman movie.
Had to get that line in.
I had to
huh?
get it.
Thank you. We didn't hear it the first time, but, Yes, Paul?
It is interesting that some movies give you a level of immortality. There might be better movies, bigger movies that Gene Hackman was in, but with sports movies, those will be talked about on sports radio and TV forever. And Hoosiers it really is the 1 seed, and then it goes down from there if you look at all those lists.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. People love Bull Durham. They love Rudy. Those are usually the top ones. But I loved Hoosiers because it's a small town. It's in Indiana. I could relate to a little bit of it. The scenery is so underrated. When they do those bus trips, when they're going to their games, and just the landscape that you had. Now, granted, it's not exciting because it's a lot of cornfields and barns, but I could relate to it. So, Gene Hackman passing away at the age of 95.